Hello, welcome everyone to the inner reflections on the art of learning and teaching. And today we will, we are celebrating to have our sister Judy back with us. It's been some time. She couldn't join because she was traveling in India. Yes. So anyway, as Sister Judy would join, I want to welcome all of you from all over the world. As always, we are together here to really go deeper into this important art, learning and teaching, which is a natural instinct and natural art we live every day. So today we have with us Sister Judy, and I will just give a short introduction about her. Most of us know her, but she is the center coordinator for Brahma Kumari's all activities in the Atlantic Canada region. And she had been for the last 35 years working as a facilitator and coaching consultant in experiential learning, leadership development, and organizational effectiveness. As we all know, experiential learning or teaching or narrating is her style. And she holds a bachelor's degree in the social work and a master's in the adult education. She is known for her insight and her ability to go into the depth of a subject in a light and entertaining way. And that's how she activates the natural wisdom, the talents, and inner power in everyone to bring out to their life and take it forward practically into their lives. She has been the author of 5 books. She has that inner talent that comes out. The books, one of them is a novel she wrote with her 2 younger daughters. The name of the book is The 7 Secrets of the Universe. She has written beautiful thoughts, and she's a co-author for A to Z Spiritual Library Literacy and Living as Art. That's what she wrote with Deborah Castle, which is the source of this whole program. And we are so thankful for that book that is created and all the arts that came out that we could churn practically to make a part of our lives. She has also written the book, Return to Source, The God Experience. So without further delay, I would definitely welcome all to join hands to welcome Sister Judy today. And however, before that, an official welcome by Sister Claudia. She is traveling. She's in Brazil, and she's going to welcome Sister Judy from Brazil. Over to you, Sister Claudia.
Welcome, Judy. Welcome to the program, and a special welcome to Brazil as well. So you are between, it's so wonderful how Zoom can connect us wherever we are. You are in one side of the country of Canada, I'm on the other side of the country of Brazil, and there's so many in Portugal and everywhere in Canada and in Europe. So we are all eager to hear from you because you are that good teacher and you are going to teach us how to have that art of learning. Because I believe by learning, we can put in practice. If we don't just learn and read, that way I always think is just to read is not to learn. To learn is to put in the practice and show that we really learn, like any art, but especially the spiritual art, it has to be something more special. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you.
We don't forget to welcome you with beautiful flower bouquet, little one, from everyone who is here today. Welcome, Sister Judy, to our program.
Lovely. Thank you, Claudia. Ben, so nice to see you down in Brazil, down south. Here I am up north. Lovely to see you. And hello to everybody. Om Shanti. It's lovely to be back with you. It's been a while. So it feels like home. Saturday morning, 11 o'clock, my time anyways, sitting here exploring another art. So welcome to all of you, and a big thank you in advance to the translators who hold this so well. So I will try to speak slowly and keep us keep us all on track together. So thank you. Um,
Very happy
I
to have you,
really,
Sister Judy. Yeah,
yeah,
over to
it's
you.
lovely,
Thank
lovely to be back. Thank you, Anuben. Thank you, the whole team. Missing Manoj by today. Usually we get to see him, so we have to send him my good wishes.
you. Yes, he is
Um,
traveling. Sorry about that. So,
mm,
yeah, we'll miss Brother Manoj today.
that's great. So I listened to Sister Aruna. She gave a wonderful talk about the art of learning and teaching, and I'll just pull out a couple of themes that she spoke about that I would like to go into a little more depth, since this is our reflection time, and she offered us a huge platter of wonderful thoughts about teaching and learning. So I'd like to just zoom in on maybe two or three of those. So we'll begin with that. And as you recall, on this reflection part, especially, we are always thinking about the art, this being a spiritual art. And therefore, we begin with, well, what is the awareness that we have gained by listening to our speaker, Sister Aruna in this case, offering us a lot of input about learning and teaching, a little about teaching, interesting. But then we go into the depth of it in this session, and we start looking for realization. And then, as a result of the session, there'll be what you're going to take away with you. So, we're doing this art, awareness, realization, and takeaway, which you will recognize as we move through this session are actually the three pillars, the three basic steps of learning, starting with awareness, moving to realization, and then doing something with it practically. So the whole series follows this flow because the whole series has been built on learning the spiritual arts. So let's just begin with some of the points of awareness that Sister Aruna offered us last week. So, one of them is that learning is about transformation. Change actually happens through learning. Otherwise, it's not learning. Otherwise, you're parroting something. You're saying something that maybe you now know, but that's not the same as learning. So, being really clear about that, transformation happens if learning has occurred. Something else she talked about, which I liked very much, is that the best teaching comes from the experience of constant learning. So if you're always learning yourself, then other people can learn from you. If you're stagnant or not learning yourself, then what is there to be learned from you? However, I must say, recently I spent time with the two daughters and friend, and we had an afternoon where we just decided to play a game where each of us was going to teach the others something that we knew how to do, but the others didn't know how to do. And so it took us a while to figure out, well, what do I know how to do that I could teach them in, 10 minutes? And I had a silly little thing I can do. One of the daughters is a water polo player. So she taught us all how, with our legs, to do egg beater, like a certain movement of your legs. The other daughter is an artist. So she taught us how to draw a human figure. Anyways, what was so interesting about it was just because we knew how to do the thing didn't mean we were that effective as teachers. But most of us did a lot of show and tell. And so this is where the teaching, the example is kind of the best method of teaching, is watching somebody do something and then copying it. So the teaching, of course, comes if you're a constant learner. The other thing that Aruna pointed to, she left teaching right to the very end. She said, you can't really teach anything, but you can model, you can be an example. That learning, in fact, and teaching kind of travel hand in hand for the journey to be balanced and wisdom to be distilled. So as I'm learning, I'm probably also teaching. And as I'm teaching, I'm definitely learning. In fact, some of the reasons why we here at all the meditation centers around the world, why we volunteer, why we offer to teach the meditation course at all levels, intro, intermediate, advanced, is because we learn so much when we do. In fact, we're the ones that benefit the most from the teaching because we have to be so clear. We have to be so accurate. We have to be so essence-full. We can't go on for hours and hours and hours. We have to get to really the essence. So learning and teaching go together. They go hand in hand, which is a beautiful thing, which is why we put the two arts together. To be skilled as a learner is essential to the art of teaching, but then teaching the self well is the art of learning. Because who's teaching me on a daily basis? I get really good input from many others. I might get guidance, I might get instruction, but in the end, I'm always coaching myself. I'm always talking to myself. I'm always guiding myself. So helping myself learn is like being a good teacher for myself. So teaching and learning are always going together. It's artificial to separate them. And in fact, if you think of yourself just as a teacher, then probably there can be a little stagnation there because the best teachers are the ones who are always learning. So I know Debbie and I have written, actually, we've got about 10 books now, which is amazing to me. And the other day we asked each other, how on earth did we ever feel like we could write all these books? Like, who did we think we were? And our answer was very clear. We were never teachers. We were always writing these books as learners. We were so excited about learning about the topic that that's what took us into investigating much more deeply into every one of the topics, the virtues, the powers, the art, God as the experience of God. I'm forgetting the other ones, but there's 10 books now. And it was not because we were teachers. It's because we were so excited about learning that we jumped into writing all these books because we were just exploring the topic together. So some of the themes that Aruna raised, but one of the ones in particular that I just love and I want to start with in our reflection today. She talked about how emotion makes something stick in the brain, like it makes something stick in your memory. And she was talking about emotion and brain, and you hold on to a memory if there's emotion into it. And she said, teachers therefore could make stories more interesting and emotional because then it would stick for people. So I love this, and I have often used this metaphor, is that consciousness is like a big open field. My consciousness is like a big open landscape. And I look at my consciousness, I look what's inside my mind at any given moment, and something will stand up on the landscape of my consciousness like a billboard. Be like this big billboard on an otherwise flat horizon. And the flat horizon will be the 1,000 things I did today, the report I wrote, the phone calls I had, the kitchen duty, the cleaning, whatever I've done all day. It all kind of lies flat in my memory track because it's not really noteworthy. But the thing that stands up like a billboard is anything that has emotion in it. And this is what Aruna brought our attention to. So I would like to play with this a little more deeply because, in fact, the billboards on the horizon of my consciousness are actually the learning moments. They are actually the biggest invitations to learn. They are not to be ignored. They are to be attended to, and not in a like I'm memorizing something, it sticks if I have emotion in it way, more in a anything that stands out on the horizon of my landscape is an invitation for learning. So I'm going to invite you to do with me, to follow me on a little journey of reflection, because this is the reflection week. We've done some awareness now, teaching and learning. We're going to go into realization, and we're going to start with reflection. So I'm going to ask you to get a piece of paper and a pen, as we often do in these sessions. And on your paper and pen, I'm going to invite you just to write immediate answers to the questions I'm going to ask you. I don't want you to stop and think and labor. Just the first things that come to your mind, write them down. Okay? And what we are going to do is we're going to reflect on your week. We're going to treat your week like the landscape of consciousness in your memory track. And I'm going to ask you some questions to have you reflect on your week. And all you're going to do is write your immediate answers on the piece of paper. Don't think about it. Don't analyze it. Just write down. Okay? Ready? Everyone, pen, paper in hand? Okay. So you can close your eyes for a moment to visualize your week. Take your mind back. I think we're Saturday morning now. Last night was Friday night. For some of you, it ended a full week of work. For others, not. But I'm just going to ask you to cast your mind back over the week, the last week you have lived. I'm going to help you with some prompts to help you remember. So the first question, who are the main people you interacted with this week? Jot down their names quickly without too much thinking. Who are the main people you interacted with this week? There'll be family, there'll be work, there'll be center. Okay, just a list there, quick list. Close your eyes again, go back to your week. What were the main tasks you accomplished this week? As soon as they come into your mind, write them down. So the main tasks you accomplished this week. Some might be small, some might be large. What were the tasks? Okay. Many, many tasks for some of you. Keep writing. A big week. Okay. And then close your eyes again. Cast your mind back to your week. Where were you physically this week? Just see the different locations where you were this week and write them down. Okay, and then close your eyes again. Again, remembering your week. How did your body feel this week? Just take note of any ups or downs of your body this week. How did your body feel this week? Write down your answer. And again, close your eyes, reflecting on the week. How was your state of mind? So, how was your level of enthusiasm or morale this week? So, how is your state of mind this week? Notice any ups or downs and write it down. All the various states of mind from this week. When you're ready, close your eyes again. Now that we've looked back at some sort of landmark details of the week, what was a highlight from last week? Write down a highlight. Maybe there's one or two. What's a highlight from last week? Okay. And two last questions. Again, now we've got the whole week in our mind. Any challenges from last week? And now the final question. What was your greatest victory or success from last week? Okay, complete. You can put your pen and paper down. That was some very rigorous data collection we just did, right? About your week. Yeah. So now you can look at everything you've written on your little piece of paper. And I'm going to ask you now just to take note what stands out of everything that you just wrote down on your paper, a fairly thorough review of your week. Just have a look at everything you've written there and just maybe circle anything that stands out for you, something that seems noteworthy or draws your attention. Okay, there are things that stand out for a reason. Has everybody got something circled? Things that stand out? They could be themes, they could be, interconnecting, even just something that, wow, okay, I hadn't realized that. Fine. So, first question, what stands out? Second question, make some meaning of it. Why does this stand out for you? When you look back at your whole week and all that data we just collected about your week, why does this stand out from all of that? And just take a minute to make some meaning of that. You can write for yourself, you can reflect, just sit for the next 2-3 minutes and understand, why does that stand out for you? Okay, another minute maybe, just to make some meaning, just to see some patterns, to acknowledge for yourself, well, why is this jumping off the page at me? There's something here. What is it? And now the final question, the significance or meaning for you. Sorry, it's sorry. My final question, I typed it wrong. The final question is, what can you do with this? So moving forward to your next week, what is the, what is the, what action could you take? What could you do moving forward based on what you've seen, the meaning you've made of this past week? So, how is this useful moving forward? What could you do moving forward? Thinking about next steps for you. Put that in. Okay. So I'm going to stop there on the reflection on your week. And we did that for a very specific purpose. So let me ask you right here and now, after doing that work, doing that very thorough reflection on your week, how do you feel right now in this moment? Check yourself. How do you feel? And maybe write in the chat box. You can give me a thumbs up, you can give me a thumbs down, you can give me a, but how do you feel in this moment, having done this kind of rigorous reflection? Okay, I'm seeing a thumb up in the chat box. Other thumbs up. So you're feeling good. How do you feel? Yeah, other hands up. Okay, feeling good. Anu's got some hearts going there. We've got thumbs up. All right, we're feeling good. We're feeling good. Okay. So why is it we're feeling good? Feeling renovated, rejuvenated, refreshed, beautiful. Thank you, Claudia, for that. Feeling light and happy. Now, why do we feel this way? We did a rigorous reflection. You learned more about yourself, says Prema. Very nice. Feeling stable. Yes, 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 yes. That's why we did this activity, because learning, what makes learning actually a spiritual art, what makes it spiritual is that learning empowers the soul. Learning elevates and reinforces the authority of my lived experience. This is the difference between devotion and the spiritual knowledge that we're studying. I'm not just accepting the wisdom offered to me by someone else, by a teacher, by a guru, by a saint, even by God. I am actually thinking about it and applying it to my lived experience. So, spiritual learning empowers the soul. That's why it's a spiritual art. Because I feel stronger. I feel more stable. I feel more confident. I feel more grounded. I feel more set. I feel more self aware. I feel more confident, right? Because I am looking at my own experience and drawing meaning from it. I am learning from my own experience. So when we say Judy does experiential learning, that's what we mean. Is that I'm applying the framework of spiritual knowledge. Learning is when I stop and I reflect on my lived experience and I make meaning of it, especially using the tools of spiritual knowledge. I can reflect on my experience using any piece of information, but I'm using spiritual knowledge. What does this mean for me as a soul? What does this mean about my karma? What does this mean about the patterns or sanskars of my own traits and habits? I'm always using spiritual knowledge, but I'm applying it to my direct lived experience. This is how I am gaining the authority of experience, which we understand to be the highest authority. Not the authority of what I know and what I can speak nicely because I remembered it from class this morning, but the fact that I have actually integrated into my life, I'm using it practically in my lived experience, and I'm reflecting on the results. I am seeing that when I enter a situation and I'm soul conscious, or I'm entering a situation and I'm actually connected to my highest divine energy of God, that somehow the situation goes differently. I know that from my lived experience. Therefore, I have that authority. This is learning. It's not memorization. It's not rote. It's not repeat. It's not parrot. It is applying spiritual knowledge to my daily living, reflecting on the results, and having the attainment of authority of my lived experience. So if I'm learning, I'm always feeling stronger. I'm feeling more confident. I'm feeling trust in my own experience. I'm not looking at others. I'm looking at my lived experience. I may be inspired by others, but I'm learning from my experience. This is learning. And we asked three very simple questions. We asked, what was your experience of the week? Number one. The next question, what's your reflection? Reflect on the week. And I gave you a bunch of questions so you could think about your week. And then I said, okay, stop. Now make meaning of that. What stands out for you from all of that? And then I asked you to look at it. Future. What do we do with this now? Very simple. This is learning. This is learning. It's very simple. Now, each of us enter at a different point in this. Some of us love meaning making. We jump immediately into deep, deep meaning making. Some of us love to reflect and tell the stories of what happened this week and who I met and what I did, and we never go any deeper than that. And some of us are immediately planning, how am I going to do better next week? How am I going to do better next week? Without the reflection, without the meaning making. We need all three for a learning experience. And this is what the art of learning is to take myself into all three of these questions, because that's what takes me deeper into my own lived experience. And when Aruna last week said, learning is actually mental effort, for me, the mental effort is to go deeper than the surface. Because I can reflect back on my week and I can tell stories of my week to everybody, but actually, I'm only going to benefit from my experience of last week, the good, the bad, the challenging, the victories. I'm only going to take benefit from that if I make meaning for me. What is the meaning I make for myself of all that I lived through this week? Then it's my meaning. And then I can apply it when I think forward for future. Now, does that make sense? Does that make sense? It's so, so simple. It's so, so beautiful. There are but three questions, and each of us learn in a different way. Many of you have seen this before, so I'm not sure I'll go into all the details of this one, but we all learn differently. And some of us some of us learn through our heart. We hear things, we understand it's true because we trust the valid source. We trust how we feel when we hear it. Some of us, we really like to get the intellect going. We like to understand the concept, the meaning, the ideas, the big picture framework, right? When we've taken in new information, then some of us like to go off and get really practical. What am I going to do with this? What am I going to do with it now? Let me apply it. And some of us like to hold it in our mind and reflect on it and chat with others about it. And that's how we learn best. And when we combine these four different ones, do you learn through your heart? Do you learn through your head? Do you learn through doing things practically, or do you learn by reflecting? Then you discover your own particular learning style. It means one of the questions will come more easily to you in the learning process. So if you learn through your heart and you love to reflect on things, chances are you like to tell stories. You learn best through stories. You like to chat with other people in small groups. You always like to connect with people. We call this the diverger learning style. You're an empath or an artist. You're always thinking outside of the box. You're thinking, oh, this thing makes me think about that thing. Oh, and that's connected what she said to me last week. And Mary the week before told me this. And you're gathering so much information for so broad. You're like a learning butterfly, always finding new things, connecting to people, to ideas, bringing it all together in a very happy storytelling kind of way. Some of us, and so the question that will work best for you when we did this little reflection on your week would be, let me remember, where was I? Who was I with? What was I doing? Very easily, you can kind of reflect and just tell the story of all those different questions that I asked you. Now, some of us prefer
Judy,
instead.
slightly slowing down. A request
Sorry,
from the translators. No, no
sorry,
worries.
sorry. Sorry about that. Some of us prefer, like, let's say we like the ideas. We really like to listen to the concepts and the big picture and what's really the meaning here. And we like to reflect. We would call this professors. We would call this a learning style where you actually really love to go deep. You like to go deep and analytical and make meaning of things. So you might find it not useful to reflect on where was I. And yet when you think about this week reflection we just did, stopping and being forced, invited to think about more avenues, more aspects than normally maybe you would have, actually brings much more data, much more useful data for you to then make meaning. So some of us prefer, though, to jump immediately into making meaning. I like to understand the meaning of things. Some of us prefer to just get practical immediately. We call them engineers, converger learning style. These are the ones that are always asking, the professors are always asking why this, why that, what meaning does that make? But the converger or the engineer types over here, they prefer to get practical immediately. Okay, all that knowledge, really good, really useful, thank you. But bottom line is, this knowledge is really only useful to me because it's going to help me build a bridge. It's going to give me the 3 steps I need for next week. It's going to give me the 3 steps I need for how to approach this meditation practice, etc. So they're always looking forward. They're always looking at relevance. How can I use this? And then our last learning style, these are the ones that learn through their hearts, but they like to do things. We call them accommodators or activists because they're basically hands-on. Let me try. Okay, I get the idea. Let me do it. Let me see if I can try it for myself. Hands-on learners. They want to jump in. They want to learn. We call them accommodators because they have so many lived experiences because they're always trying something new, that they accommodate. They learn to accommodate a lot of life experiences. So they learn best. So, for instance, they would learn to swim by jumping in the water. They're always best learning when they're slightly over their head and there's like a little too much. That's the accommodator style. So you may recognize yourself in one of those 4 styles and have a look. You might overlap, you might be in a couple, but the point of this very short story, we could do this much, much longer, but the point of this short story is that you will recognize a certain style in yourself. You will recognize that for you, you always need to go deep. Or you will recognize, I need more stories. I need more data. I need to hear what other people are thinking and doing. Or I really need to sit and just plan, how am I going to do? The point is, you'll be very comfortable with one of those questions more so than the other. But in order to learn, you need all 3 questions. So this is the alert to yourself. If you're just asking the one question that's comfortable for you, you won't be learning, or you won't be maximizing your learning. Let's say we want to maximize the learning. So the first question again is, and it reflects the butterfly learners, what stands out about your experience? What happened even in this session? What stands out for you about all the things that I've been saying, all the things that we've been doing? What stands out? First question. And you take a couple of minutes. So we do this in our morning spiritual study. Every morning during spiritual study, we stop and we say, okay, what stood out? There was a whole bunch that I heard there. It's not about me memorizing or parroting, being a parrot and repeating. Actually, I sit and I stop and I think quite deeply, okay, what stood out? Well, this point poked at me, made me a little irritated. This point made me feel a little guilty or bad. This point lit me up and made me so happy inside. And I take all of those because it's data. Very useful data. Second question then is why? Why does that stand out for me? I make some meaning. Well, this stands out because I had a kind of religious upbringing where this word always made me feel guilty. Okay, so then the next question, what do I do about that? Let me rethink this word. Let me go deeper into that. Let me not just get stuck at feeling bad, right? Or why does this one light me up so much? I don't know. Somehow it feels like I've had this experience in my life. Lights me up. Great. So we make meaning. Now, this question comes easier for some than for others. There's no learning unless there's meaning making. So we have to stop and give ourselves time to do this second question, not just jump over it with a memorization. And thirdly, then, we have to ask ourselves, how will I use this practically? How will I use this today? This point that lit me up. Okay, how can I use that? Or this point that made me feel shame or guilt. How could I use that today? Maybe today, every single time I feel a little guilt or shame, maybe I'm just going to stop and reframe. I'm going to stop and rethink it through the actual spiritual lens. So, 3 questions are needed for learning. All 3 questions are important. And I am inclined to ask myself the question that I am most familiar with. But that doesn't cut it for learning. For learning, you have to ask yourself all 3. What stands out? Why does it stand out? What am I going to do with it? So, this is the spiritual art of learning. And what makes it spiritual is that I'm empowering the soul. I'm reinforcing the authority of my own experience. Now, I went very fast through that, and I know we're 5 minutes to the end, and I have your takeaway, and I have a meditation. So, Anuben, please direct me on what to do at this moment.
Amazing, amazing. You brought the essence, ask these 3 questions and bring to that what is the true learning for myself. Thank you so much. We'll review more and more, definitely. So let's move forward. For that, I would invite Sister Claudia to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much. It's a wonder. I can see that I really need to learn a lot, especially going ask those 3 questions. So, and then see where is the learning. Actually, it was quite good. I really like this exercise you did for the last week because I had a very busy week. So it was quite few things over the week. So
Nice.
I learned quite a bit. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You look so good. Nobody could see how you were last week. So
I know. Let's
good.
see what happens when I get off camera, Claudia. But yes, I feel, of course, the energy of the family and the group and the topic, it's inspiring me very, very much. So thank you for the
Yeah,
opportunity.
we are
Yeah.
all going to send you very good vibrations and you are going to feel it very
you.
good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Every day, much better. Yeah. Thank you, Claudia.
From the heart.
I'll repeat that. Yeah, Sister Judy has not been very well, but today she's here with all like the inspiration, the spark, the energy we took today is amazing. And of course, our hearts good wishes goes for you. You recover fast and completely well, and we'll look forward to have you more. But today we have a lot of material, and through, like Sister Claudia said, we really experienced how to reflect through the week and really catch what stands out. Thank you very much. Before we go into the meditation, last meditation, I'll do quickly the announcement. So we'll be doing the workshop on the same topic, learning the art of learning and teaching. We'll take up what we heard today and the talk by Sister Aruna last week in a more experiential exercise way where the participants also share. So please join us. It's Saturday, 6th of December, 2025, of course, next week. And following would be the silence retreat, like Sister Judy was mentioning. So what retains in you after the 3 sessions with a deeper reflection within? What is that stays with you? Will experience in the silence and connecting with the source, the divine. So as you all know, the silence retreats are based on the Brahma Kumari's teachings, the spiritual teachings that we study, but it's open to everyone. You are welcome to join. That would be on 13th of December after 2 weeks on Saturday. And you can check us out on our websites. That's vyasa.in and vancouver.brahmakumaris.ca. All our videos are on our YouTube channels of Vancouver Brahmakumaris and Vyasa, all the different languages as well. And you can write to us on our emails. And before we go into experiencing the meditation with Sister Judy, we can take a photograph. We always love to make this moment a true moment, memorial moment for always. So open your video if you would like to be in the photo. Yeah, people are opening their videos. If you still want to, few more seconds there, you can please. And whoever are in our email and WhatsApp list, they receive the photographs and all other review materials. So you can write to us on our email if you are not a part of our WhatsApp or email group, and we'll include you. We'll add. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So all yours, Sister Judy, will take us through a meditation.
Let's just go quietly inside ourselves for a moment to end. And you know, the spiritual journey is really about distilling the wisdom of the soul and bringing it back to the self. I can only do that if I come back to myself. So come quietly back to that center point, self, the soul, the being that you are. And you see your whole life like a great big tree in front of you, a beautiful tree with branches extending in all directions, your activities, your friends, your work, everything in your life in front of you like this great big tree. And just notice at the bottom where the roots are, the ancestors that have gone before you, have given you strength, have given you wisdom, the ancestors in your life, both spiritually and personally, family-wise. And then look at the middle of the tree and just see all the branches of friends and family and community and spiritual groups, colleagues, all the people in the bigness of your life as it is right now. And just see faces and names. And then at the very, very top of the tree, imagine your highest self, your highest aspiration, and imagine the divine. Imagine God right up there, like your benchmark, your aim. Now just look at this whole tree in front of you from the quiet, still point of your center. And I'll ask one beautiful, simple question. In and amongst all of those people and other souls and activities, who is teaching and who is learning? It's beautiful, no? Everybody's learning, everybody's teaching, everybody together, one beautiful big tree. And of course, it is I, the soul, who will benefit from all of that beauty through the art of learning. Om Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Judy, from the heart of each one of us today. Thank you, everyone. Let's shine with all the taking we're taking today, the learning. And see you all next week.